Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my corner of the internet. My name is Jason, and today, once again, we're back with some more Elder Scrolls 2 Daggerfall. Last time we came on into Castle Sentinel because a little while back we had gotten an invitation to come or go to talk to the King of Worms, and then we went and saw the King of Worms back in Scourge Barrow, and then he was basically like, hey yo, I've got a quest for you to go kill some guy who's now a lich. I need you to go ahead and slay him, and he's hanging out up in the dungeons of Castle Daggerfall, Castle Sentinel. And so we decided, hey, all right, let's go to Castle Sentinel. And so now here we are searching for this lich, and we're gonna go ahead and slay him. Hopefully, that is the plan, anyways. So that's what we're gonna go ahead and try to do in this episode. Now it's been a little while since I've been in Castle Sentinel, so I don't remember the layout very well. There's been a lot of different dungeons, and you might think that, oh, if there's an element, if there's a part of the dungeon that's familiar, then I might be able to go ahead and say, oh yeah, sure, I know where I'm going, I know what I'm doing. But the problem is I need to find, we'll say, a unique looking, we'll say, landmark or structure or maybe room composition that I can say, oh yes, I remember where I am now, and then sort of get my bearings, because I don't remember what the defining, or yeah, I'll just go with that word, the defining trait of Castle Sentinel was, other than it is a sort of generic dungeon. So we're walking through the halls. If there was some different maybe textures and some different graphics, and all the different things that I have expressed in previous episodes that I would have liked to have seen, then maybe I would have an easier time navigating my way through these dungeons. But as it is, I really have no clue where I'm going, so I'm just going to go ahead and fill in the map as best as I can. And did I loop back around? No, I did not. We are still in a completely new area. All right, let's see. Let's pick a direction. Which direction do we want to go in? Let's go north, because I get a feeling that that's not the way we need to go. So let's go north, because that's where I've got a feeling not to go. Sure, my feelings have never led me astray before, right? No. Now, last episode we talked a little bit about, or maybe I talked, you listened, or maybe you were talking to me too. You were like, Jason, no, you're wrong. You're an idiot. And, you were talking to your screen, and, the screen wasn't talking back, and then, we were both talking to each other, but neither of us were hearing each other. It's like we were both deaf, but had interesting things to say. But anyways, we were talking about, the journal system, and I was talking about how, I felt like, the journal system definitely got better in Morrowind, and I think that it would have been better to sort of have something more like that, or maybe a little bit more well organized, so you know where you're going in Daggerfall. And somehow this reminded me, this got me thinking about we'll say story crafting, because I was thinking about, you having to chronicle your own adventure. It's better if you get your own journal out. Things can go wrong. You can make choices. You can basically get dead ends in this game. And, I was pondering about that a little bit. And I was thinking, okay, all right. And then no one around the corner? Okay. Oh, there you are. I knew there had to be someone around here. Take that, rogue. What kind of shield is that? That is a tower shield. It doesn't say what kind, but I'm assuming it's useless to me anyways, because I can't use tower shields. I can only use the little shields. But anyways, with that mentality, I would decide, I'm going to go ahead and take a break. I'm going to go play something different. So I loaded up The Sims, both 2 and 3. I couldn't decide which one I wanted to play, so I just loaded them both up, and then I started fiddling around, and eventually ended up playing number 3. But anyways, how does that relate to the Elder Scrolls? How does that relate to Daggerfall? Now, just a warning, we're going to be talking a little bit about the, I'll say, Elder Scrolls series in general with this here. I've been trying to keep things, we'll say, maybe a little bit more Daggerfall focused, but, this has been on my mind, and I figured, you know what, we're playing the Elder Scrolls, why don't we go ahead and just talk about the Elder Scrolls? What I was thinking about was, in The Sims, part of what makes that game sort of fun and interesting is like negative traits or negative events in the characters' lives. It's interesting when, you're playing and then all of a sudden a character dies, or maybe something happens, or they lose their job, or they're robbed. you know, something happens that's negative, and it sort of impacts the character, and it impacts your playthrough, and it makes for a much more interesting experience. And because I feel like that's ultimately what the Sims sort of, we'll say, excels at. I don't really want this sword, but I'll take it anyways, because why not? It's green, it looks fancy. I like fancy looking swords. It'll go with my red Daedric sword. I'll be able to dual wield. I'll have like a Christmas sword combination. Yes, that's right. I'm gonna be like ho-ho-hoing down people's chimneys with both of my swords, slaying them in the night. It's like some really dark, weird, twisted Christmas horror film featuring a very principled dark elf who doesn't like killing people randomly. Okay, never mind. This is the most terrible horror story in the history of horror stories. But anyways, the point I'm getting at is, you know, Daggerfall allows for those negative things. It allows you to fail quests. It allows quests to become blocked off. It allows you to have those dead ends. You know, I technically should have, we'll say, bill collectors coming after me for the loan I took from that bank. You know, I've had, you know, I did come across some information that basically confirms what I thought, that since I talked to Obki, the queen, believe in Daggerfall? I can't remember. Anyways, I talked to the queen about the whole letter. She actually had hired assassins to come and kill me. And that is holy ouch. That is part of the reason why, you know, they're coming after me. And those little tidbits, those little things make the stories interesting. Having my sword be able to break, that is something interesting. Wow, I just ran around the corner and he didn't even see me. You know, you're a very terrible rogue. It's like you think that a rogue would know, you know, his kind and how his kind operates. You know, he'd be like ready. He's like, any thief comes by here, I'm going to slay them with my blade. But no, he's like, oh, hi. Oh, maybe he was being friendly. Maybe he was being friendly. He saw me and he was like, oh, it's a nice fellow rogue type character. And then I cut him down. I'm sorry, guy. You know what? We're just gonna go ahead and like paralyze her or something, because I don't want to deal with her spells. Jason, you could use resist shock or frost or some other things. You know, I could, but I like the idea of using maybe a kite shield of paralysis. Are you paralyzed? Nope, you're not paralyzed. Okay, cool, sure. What the heck? There we go. I healed like a touch, and then I just kept going. A jade. This one's enchanted, so we're gonna go ahead and definitely grab that because I like enchanted items. But anyways, and I feel like that's kind of the thing where you have these little inconveniences that ultimately change how you're playing. They're not necessarily end states for the game, because you know, when you're playing a game, there's your regular gameplay loop you're playing. And then there's your end state. You know, how do you technically lose the game? In Daggerfall, you know, that is by dying. You know, in The Sims, you know, when a character dies, it's not the end state of the game. You might still have other people in the household. You can still advance. You can still keep playing. And so you know, the game can be made more interesting by the little wrinkles that it gets, by, you know, including little things like, we'll say armor degradation or weapon condition degradation and some other combination of something in degradation. Hey, guy, yeah, that's basically what I say to everybody. I come around the corner, I'm like, hey, guy, and then I slash them. Because that's just, I don't know, I'm very casual about my slaughter. I'm like, hello, how you doing, guy? I'm just gonna, like, you mind if I put my sword here? And they're like, no, sorry, just put your sword down, take a load off. And then I do that, and then I come across really as some sort of psychotic. Some kind of psychotic. I don't think that's a proper sentence, Jason. It totally is, man. Just leave me be. I can talk how I want to. Sorry, I sometimes get into arguments with myself. Part of me thinks I'm insane, the other part of me knows that I'm not. One of them is wrong. Anyways, and that's one thing I do admire about Daggerfall. And you know, and Arena's got a lot of that as well. That's one thing I just tend to admire about older games. Older games, in general, I find are more willing to give you, or not necessarily, it's enchanted. You know, if it has a good enchantment, it'll be worth more than just a standard silver short sword, so we'll take it. you know, they're willing to give you these little speed bumps, give you these little things that really sort of make your time a little bit tougher. You know, and not everything challenging or every little thing in a game needs to be an end state. For, you know, example, status conditions. Simply having poison within a game elevates it a little bit. Having, you know, a paralysis or a bleeding effect, or, you know, some sort of damage over time, or maybe reduced statistics, or, you know, little things like that. Or having a curse actually be a curse. You know, later games, it's like, oh no, I'm a vampire, which basically just equates to, hey, I got superpowers and fell through the floor. Well, you know, minus the fall through the floor part. Basically, you know, it kind of goes, it turns Twilight. It turns, you know what, that's a sickeningly good way of describing how I feel we'll say the races, or we'll say the curses are handled in the later games, where you're not just, you know, you're not cursed. It's not like you know, there's not some sort of pros and cons. It's not like I've gained power of the wolf and I can, like, I've got strength and agility, and now, but I gotta feed regularly, and I can't always control it, and sometimes I can't access my inventory, and, you know, the vampires, they have that thirst and stuff, you know, all that stuff there. But then when you, because I did play a little bit of, you know, let's stop picking on Skyrim, even though we know that's what I'm going to be talking about, and, you know, other games in general, and they like to treat these kinds of things as cool things players can do, and you're like, yeah, and it's seen more as a reward. Everything has sort of shifted to being positive and removing little negative elements. I don't know. I like my games with a little bit of hardship. Yeah, I don't know. I'm probably just un petit peu étrange. A little bit strange, we'll say. Alright, so you know what? Enough of that. We have a round shield. +2 to armor rating. This one also has a +1 to armor rating. Wait. So this thing is better than my other shield? Oh, but I can't equip it because it's... Okay, I can only carry bucklers. Got it. I can't carry the... even small shields I can't carry. Darn it. Now, I did have it pointed out to me that if I had created a custom class, you know, even with all the same skills and everything, it would have allowed me to basically wear any armor that I wanted. I would not have had that restricted. And, you know, on the one hand, I'm a little bit disappointed that I didn't go ahead and just do that. But on the other hand, I'm glad I didn't. And because I've gotten questions about that, about, you know, why didn't you create a custom class? Or, you know, there was one comment, you know, you're the first person I've seen who didn't create a custom class. And the reason for that is I'm not about min-maxing. I'm not about always playing the game or playing games the most optimal way. In a way, I feel like that kind of kills the expectation of players. I like to kind of, I like my Let's Plays to be sort of part, you know, part fun. Obviously, we're playing a game, but I like them to be kind of part instructional, or maybe not instructional, but informational rather. So I feel like when you try to min-max things, you can give a skewed perspective of really how easy or difficult the game is. And by sort of playing the middle of the road, by just sort of playing in the manner that, you know, you can kind of, we'll say, assume the developers intended you to play, then you can kind of represent the game a little bit more accurately how the average player will experience the game. Because, you know, if I were to go ahead and min-max this thing and I'm running through and I'm just slaughtering everything, sure, it would be impressive. And you know what? There would be some value to that. I'm sure some people would love to see that. But, you know, there's also, you know, the people who might take a look at it and see, you know, see it being really easy. They might try it, they might get discouraged, or, you know what? That's not really a motivating point for me, but it's sort of one way how I see things, how I like to approach things, we'll say, from more of an average perspective rather than a position of, you know, absolute dominance over the game. You know, depending on the game. If there's some games where I'm like, oh yes, I've got to show off because this is a game I'm actually good at. Because, you know, if you've watched my channel enough, you know that I'm not necessarily, we'll say, excellent at a lot of games. There's games that we'll say proficient at, but not games that where I would go ahead and say, I am the leading authority on tactics to be used in game X. You know, so I don't know. I just like things being represented, let's say, more averagely, and it's kind of fun to see how, we'll say, the developers intended you to play the game. Like, I'm like, all right, let's see. How did they expect a Nightblade to be played, and is it viable? Because, you know, I like to be able to sort of test those limits, because sometimes the developers are wrong, and they're like, hey, you know, this sounds like a cool idea, but, you know, they don't do enough playtesting. And with a game like Daggerfall, I can definitely, we'll say, go ahead and make the, well, I say assumption that there wasn't a whole lot of playtesting made, particularly, we'll say, on the bug front, you know, bug and patching, and, you know, that area of, we'll say, the game's development. Ooh, look at this. We've got a Daedric longsword. I think we're gonna go ahead and take that and throw that in our pocket, because we're not carrying a bag. Yeah, where am I carrying all this stuff? It's adventure game logic. I just I had to stuff things into my pocket. I've just, I'm sure there's a pocket joke in there right now. I'm not gonna go ahead and, do that, though. Anyways, so yeah, that's kind of my approach. I like to sort of tinker with how the game was intended, and then, you know, after I get maybe, you know, after I become really proficient with the game, you know, after I get a little bit more familiar with things, I know how things work, and I can play with things, you know, maybe I like to fool around and maybe do like little, say, I'd be more open to doing stuff like appendix videos, like doing additional videos that have additional information, but that don't necessarily, you know, fall into the regular line of Let's Play videos. You know, the chronological order. This is the current quest of Alexis to, you know, beat Daggerfall. You know, I might be like, okay, let's have some experimentation time, and, you know, I go ahead and make a video that's not necessarily even part of this story or doesn't really involve that. It's basically just a science video. You know, for science, we need to find out if something, I don't know. You know, how long does it take to build up your language skills? You know, to be able to talk to Daedra and not always have them try to kill you. You know, stuff like that. You know, that's something that I might be interested in experimenting with, because a little while back I did, you know, there was a talk, there was discussion, you know, online and stuff like that. There was some uncertainty of whether or not you could travel manually from one location to the next in Arena. And, I was really frustrated because I could not find an answer on that. The manual said that you could. The manual said, yes, you absolutely can. And so, you know, I took it upon myself to actually sit in one spot, load up Netflix on another monitor, and you just try to run from one location to the next, and sort of use my knowledge, my experience in programming, to kind of sort of deduce how the game was functioning, how things were laid out, how the world worked, and if it was plausible that you could travel from one place to the next. And I made a video on that, and that's kind of like the kind of thing I'm talking about. You know, even after I finished that video, I got curious and I tried it again. I ran for even longer than I did in the video, and it turned out, no, you could not run manually from one location to the next. So, you know, in that kind of way, sort of challenging the developers and the developers' claims. Not always just showing, like I said, mastery over the game, but definitely showing a little bit of, we'll say, curiosity and investigation towards, we'll say, topics related to the game. Anyways, I think we've talked enough about that. Let's keep marching on. Let's keep walking through this dungeon, and hopefully we'll come across something. Be like, I heard another door open. So I'm not sure exactly where this lich would be. Now, I've been in this dungeon before, and I've explored the entire thing. But as I stated before, everything looks the same every dungeon, so it's not like I can pull back in my memory and say, oh yeah, I know where to go. Or I know where this enemy likely is. You know, ooh, this guy's going to hurt me quite a bit. My paralysis dart takes up like a whole 90. Why don't we go ahead and... I don't know what to use. Do I use the, Okay, he's coming at me. Cute. Wow, I died in one hit. Okay, note. If you hit Q, I think that goes to the last spell you cast, not the last item you cast. I tried hitting Q to sort of quick cast to prepare my spell, and whoa! If that happens, just hit escape twice. It'll rectify itself. All right, so I guess we gotta go ahead and try to do that again. Yay! Man, the spellcasters in this game, they are brutal. Now I wonder, would resistance be good, or would a character that has like no magic, like a character that is not quite like Alexis, it's a little bit more, we'll say, physically based. Like, yes, she's physically based, but she's not like a warrior type class. Would they have an easier time against mages because they have a larger health pool? Like, would they just by the nature of their class being a little bit more tanky, having a little bit more health, come on, Jason. All right, hold on. I need to arrange my words in some sort of form resembling a sentence. Would they have the ability to take on a mage with a little bit more ease than mine, because I'm gonna die? All right, I don't know what I want to use on you. Like, I want to go ahead and just try, like, blasting him with the paralysis thing again, but I get the feeling that being a mage, he probably has a little bit more resistance. Yeah, he probably does. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and heal a bit. And don't I have myself a fancy disappearing spell? I do. And he will not be able to see me because he is human. So, where is my sneaky peeky like? There it is. It's gonna cost me a total of 31 points, but after a second, he should lose me. He should not know where I am. Do you know where I am still? No, he's like, well, I don't know where she went. She must have, like, disappeared or something. And I'd be like, I'm gonna pickpocket you. I pinched 5 gold pieces. Now you're dead! And the spell sword just died. Excellent. All right, we'll save the game and keep going. Just for a little bit. My time is a little bit more limited today, so I'm gonna maybe run through the next part. No more sneaking. I'm invisible, you know, I don't need to be sneaking around. I can just be like running around, invisified. I am invisified. Do you know where I am? Oh, you don't know where I am. Hi-ya! The guy's like, ow, I got this sharp pain in my face. It's like you might want to go see a doctor. Holy crap. See, that's what I'm talking about. That warrior, he took, like, hit after hit. Well done, guy. He like took, I don't know how many stab faces. Holy crap. So I was trying to say sword slashes or sword stabs, but stab faces works. He took many stab faces. Oh, wow. Okay. Do you want a stab face too? Yeah, and then I got another free stab in here. Yeah, you stab, you run away, and then my invisibility is about to run out, so I might as well just finish off the rogue. Alright, so invisibility is about to go. I've got to find a way to lengthen that. You know, other than leveling up, obviously. I should use it a little bit more frequently. Actually, you know, I should be using it constantly. That would be... Actually, interesting. Actually, let me think about this. 65. I've never actually tested this. I have 65 points of magic. Why don't we go ahead and rest for an hour? I want to see how much magic we restore in 1 hour. My short blade skill has been improved. This is excellent. So 65, so up to 70 equals 5, then up to 80 equals 15, and then plus the extra 3 is a total of 18. So in 1 hour, I have recovered 18 points. So if I rest for 2 hours, I can basically completely recoup the cost of my sneaky peeky like. Makes me wonder if I should just basically go sneaky peeky like, run around, stab things, and then rest after it's done, and then basically rinse and repeat. Would that take longer? Because I'm thinking about how long it's taking me to sort of sneak through each room. And, you know, while I don't need to be really, we'll say, conscious about how much time I'm taking, it is just something that I do tend to do. I'm trying to think, you know, within the sense of the character. you know, doesn't want to spend that much time in the dungeon, and it's partially a role-playing thing. You know, I want to have a bit more, we'll say, a realistic scenario where, you know, it's not like I'm living in this dungeon. It's like, no, she goes in, she's got a job, and she doesn't want to take forever. You know, people might become aware of her presence, and things will become even worse. So, you know, I try to keep the amount of time used to a minimum, and so, you know, that I think that's yeah, we'll take the map, sure. A finely drawn vellum reveals the secret location of the Firtan mines, which you record. You know, maybe we'll go check out one of these places that we found on a map. You know what? Yeah, maybe we'll do that. After we're done this little quest, let's go ahead and check out that location on the map and see what that is. Because we really have not gone off the beaten path a whole lot. And I think that would be kind of interesting. And the rogue just died. So yeah, that's I think that'll be something fun to do. All right, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, I was gonna say there's probably one person in that door, so we just deal with that person in the door, and then we are good to go. I am gonna have to probably, most likely, most definitely, and yes, right now, have to end things off, so we are gonna go ahead and save the game as end 47. If you like the video, you like the content, and you would like to see more of it, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, leave it a thumbs down. And either way, let me know what you thought in the comment section. And until next time, I would like to ask you all to game on.